Yeah, so yesterday, Nate Clifton mentioned that there's like an injury to Christian James. How severe is that?
It's severe enough for him not to be out here right now, but we will get him back. And I think the timeline is not, we'd like it to be tomorrow. He'll probably be out for the majority of camp. And we'll be, through camp, starting to work him back into a return to play. But, he's played a lot of football for us, and so the main thing is that he gets healthy, and it's not something that we believe is going to be recurring. It's just a matter of getting him back, when he's ready.
Yeah, but he is expected to be ready for the season.
Yeah, he is. And again, I think we always got to give room for. When I go to bed at night, I think that Christian James is going to be a part of our games this year. I always want to give the chance to have there be that recovery time be what it needs to be to make sure he can sustain healthy, right? So we don't want to rush him back for game one, but if he's ready, he'll be out there.
Are there any of the guys who are working off to the side right now who are close to fully rejoining?
Yeah, I think it's all, there's a lot of soft tissue and a lot of precautionary stuff. Issa was back with us yesterday and had one little issue that came up with the return. And so we're going to take a little more time with him. CJ Taylor is working through soft tissue, and that's something that, if you come back too soon, you end up losing a month, right? And we're trying to avoid that. Again, it's a guy that's played a lot of football for us, and we're confident in his ability to prepare. So there's a lot of those that we're just, it could be day by day or week by week, but those guys will be back with us.
Do you envision a starting running back who takes 50-60% of snaps emerging, or is it, you think, going to be pretty much by committee?
It all depends. I think we have to certainly have a vision for contributions from a number of guys. I don't think that's just about an elite back emerging in the group. Certainly we want to give room for that to happen, and we believe that can happen. I just think in this league, you can't expect someone to carry the ball 30 times a game and be ready for the entire season, right? So to have, in my mind, 3 guys that are ready to contribute on the field, in the game, in a role. And what the split of the snaps looks like just depends on how much distinctions drawn in their performance through camp. And here in the early goings, you don't, the sample size is too small, but as we get into scrimmages and we have a chance to see them play, there will be a chance for them to separate that way. And, maybe I'll have a little better or more clear answer as we get a little closer to the game. Is that fair?
Yeah.
With Justin kind of needing to be, the guy at tight end now, what have you seen from him, and what kind of style does he bring to the field?
He's tough. He's physical. Obviously, he's big. Just a ton of growth for him in a leadership role. I've been really proud with his advancement in that way. He's fighting for the program, fighting for the culture, and it's a great guy to have in a room that has some young, talented players. I even look at Logan Kyle's progress. Felt like Logan yesterday, and we'll look at the film today, but the guy is out here to prove a point. He's over 230 pounds now, and he's physical, and he can also run. I'm talking about Logan, but I believe his advancement has to do with that in-room leadership that JB's shown him over time. And so this will be an important fall for JB. What's beautiful is he's got another year of eligibility left after this. So that's an example of a guy who's been in our program, who's chosen to remain in our program, who's become a leader in our program, that we can keep pulling this thing forward with his help.
Do you envision, either of the freshmen playing roles at tight end this year?
I do. And I only say that or answer that definitively to say the next month will tell a lot about that. But they both have shown flashes of skill, and they're willing in preparation. I think, again, I've said this before, but the challenge of a freshman player is how patient can we be. When we start the season, it won't be the end of our evaluation of our best 11. And so those guys, we need to give the time that they need to be ready, but once they're ready to help us win, we'll have them out there.
how do you balance? I think I remember you saying last year that it's okay for AJ to take some chances in practice, and that's kind of in some ways what practice is for. How do you balance that with if somebody throws 2 picks or whatever, that's obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I think Coach Lynch would say, don't make a bad play worse. And that some of that today was being careless with the ball, and learning how to take chances. We had a great example of that yesterday. Walter Taylor stepped up and threw a ball to Junior Sherrill. And there was underneath coverage and on top coverage. He squeezed it into a window, and that's taking a chance. Late in a snap, throwing the ball up in the air for anyone to grab is sloppiness. So there is a fine line there. And if we're learning in practice how tight the window can be that I can fit the ball in, that's great. If we're not training ball security and how we finish plays, that's problematic. And so with AJ or with any of the quarterbacks, it's maturity to, it's okay to take a sack sometimes. It's okay to throw the ball away. It's okay to get to the check down. Sometimes in practice, because we're not keeping score, they feel like they have license to just shove the ball down the field. But I think building the discipline around what the in-game performance is going to require is an important part of their training.
When do you want to move into kind of more defined roles? Because you have a lot of returners, so I don't know how you balance wanting to get everyone reps. And the experienced guys have played a lot before versus kind of trying to zero in on the team that would play against White.
Right now, we're still splitting fields and two-spotting, and a lot of that is to give reps to. Philosophically, every time a cycle resets, you want to give people a chance to grow. So we're looking for where that growth has happened on a roster that maybe we weren't aware of, that all of a sudden a guy like Ezra McAllister, right, with reps is showing, hey, there's something there that can be beneficial to our performance. I think with our freshmen, splitting the fields helps because they're getting a ton of reps. Now, that can be good and bad because they're learning as they go, and so sometimes it leads to some sloppiness. But and we don't want to have a freshman field and a veteran field because the point is they're learning our standards of practice and training. So, over the next few days, we'll continue in this mode. But the minute we start padding up, we start to shift the nature of practice a little bit and do less of 2 fields, more of 1 field. And that part of that's just to manage load. But I would tell you, you probably go through the first scrimmage before you're really dialing into some kind of vision of where guys are fitting in the puzzle. And even then, I think the second scrimmage will be telling too. So to me, I'm trying to use all that time. We head into that 3rd week, and we have the little, bench control scrimmage at the end of it, which is helmets only. That 3rd week, you start to define rules a little more. That'll be when we do that.
Is kicker, since there's a battle there, is that a little different since it's just kind of, there's not as much of a chemistry aspect and just kind of kicking?
It is, but I think, again, we want to be deliberate and see a sample size grow. We haven't actually kicked in practice yet. We'll start that tomorrow, and we're going to try to put pressure on those guys. So it won't just be about having a field goal period and lining up and kicking the ball 10 times. It's going to be about game situation and infusing some crowd noise and some water and just trying to see who ultimately is going to give us the best chance to put it through when we need it. And we want to give opportunity for all those guys to have a chance to do that, because it's going to be important as we talk about margins being razor thin. Obviously you need to be able to get 3 points when you can get 3 points.
Thank you.
Good. All right, guys. Thanks for being out here.